We have to ask ourselves, why do the left, not the politicians of course, refuse to refuse to accept or deny simple facts? They say follow the science, and then they deny or not by their actions and words. They demonstrate they've got no knowledge of what science actually is. Now, just for example, the science of climate change, even if they prove that humans cause climate change, but they haven't and they cannot do, what can you do about that? Is another question. Not you must just act according to the theory that the humans are causing it. What can you do in case you can survive? Because CO2 is not a poison, it's actually recycled by life. We're all recycling CO2 all the time, and that's what trees do, they recycle CO2. There's only so much CO2 and it's recycled throughout eternity. But the thing is, they deny, in Australia in particular, the left, this strange Marxist organisation, that none of them have ever done any math in their life. And if you can't do math, how can you understand the science? You don't have to be a scientist to understand maths. But if you understand maths, it helps you understand the science, or the meaning of things, or relativity of things. You can put things in perspective. Now, as Australia only emits 1/5 of 1 part per million of gross global CO2, how it reduces that? How can you reduce something that's hardly measurable? That's the question. It wants to reduce something that's so minuscule. The question is to what? And if it says zero, it will reduce CO2 to zero. Does that mean that the left are into eliminating humans because the humans emit CO2 when other animals emit CO2? So is that what the left? This is a problem we should have and be asking questions about the left. They want to eliminate, things breathing in and out. Are they going to trees breathe? They're taking CO2, decomposing, give CO2 or methane off. Wouldn't it be better to eliminate trees than humans or human economy? Because what's more important? Obviously, life outside humanity is far more important to the left. As long as they get paid and they're getting rich out of it, it's more important than humanity itself and surviving through any problems. And right at the moment, because of coronavirus, will actually, because we're going to attack all the economies of the world, it will no doubt reduce the CO2 through this effect. It's already reduced it enormous amounts in China, and it's going to reduce it all over the world. So shouldn't the left, if it's genuinely caring about humanity, which you said it's a moral obligation to do something about climate change because we care about humanity, surely now they should be cooperating across the world in dealing with this virus. And that's where the resources need to go. How do we deal in Australia economically when the world economy collapses? How do we deal with that? It's no good saying, well, we just install lots of wind and solar and that'll sort it. No, the energy prices must really get lowered so we can begin manufacturing and producing food and services that we have to import. That's the next step now. That's the more important thing to do. National survival is actually an organic thing to do, and yet Labour, and it's an economic factor. It's an economic imperative. You destroy the economic ability for the people to survive through a difficulty like coronavirus because you want to stop CO2 being emitted from Australia and telling this very, very serious lie that carbon is a pollution. Well, yes, in some cases, obviously, when it talks rubbish, carbon-based bipeds in the Labour and the Greens talk absolute rubbish. Yes, it's a lot of pollution. There's a lot of pollution in carbon-based bipeds in the left that deny simple facts. Why are they there? Why is so many people who can't do the simple maths? Nor care enough about Australia and its humanity to drop this climate change thing right now, because emissions are going to drop worldwide anyway, because the energy consumption is going to die, and concentrate on developing those essential industries and manufacturing industries what take us through to restore our economy and our sovereignty, which will be far better than continuing down this enslavement to a price accord that in Australia's case has no meaning when it comes to affecting anything other than our economy and our ability to pay for hospitals, schools, services, and all the essential things that make a civilization work. You cannot take $1.5 trillion out of the economy, like Labour is doing, while at the same time reducing the productive capacity and wanting to reduce exports and increasing the import of oil, which they must do because they don't want nuclear and they don't want coal. So you're going to extend the use of fossil fuels anyway. So that's another thing they don't figure. And going through and do this without considering the effect they're having on the humans. They have no effect on the climate, but they're going to have an enormous effect upon humanity in Australia that needs hospitals and services and aged care and all the things that make a society a civilized society. It's a serious matter of perspective, and it is up to Labour. I mean, that's their view on the world. They don't care about humans, only care about the climate. They can't be bothered doing the maths, very simple maths. That's their prerogative. So, the best thing to do is develop strategies that leaves them in the past. They've just entered the past. All this global maximum, all that, it's just entered the past because the world is now, everyone's focused on a virus. Everyone's head's been turned away from climate change, apart from a few fools who doesn't know it could wipe out all these young people. Extinction Rebellion could all be wiped out by a virus, and their philosophy could be true, but nothing to do with climate change, all to do with nature itself. We think viruses might have wiped out dinosaurs after they commented because it affected the environment. That's another thing. Anyway, just something to ponder. Why do the left deny very simple statistics and data that anyone at all can analyse? Australia's 1/5 of 1%. Gross global emissions, it has 150,000 more fuel cars each year. It's building its population by about 5,000 a week, or was. And now, how you can reduce that if you grow population? Well, how does Labour can't explain that. Never mind the cost it can't explain. It cannot explain how it does it. It can't explain it because it's impossible unless you kill off the economy so far. And if this virus kicks off, it will kill the economy anyway. We'll soon find out what it's living in an economy post Labour's climate change agenda in 2050. If this virus keeps going, we'll discover that rather soon.